Okay, good afternoon. How's everybody doing today? My name is Kent. The channel is Bitcoin Believer. It's December 7th. It's about 12 a.m. Here in Southern California. I'm live, so if you want to make a comment, I got a comment section. I can see your comments, and I can see any kind of, like, if you want a thumbs up or anything like that, I'd appreciate it. So today, you're looking at the price of Bitcoin, 43,368 and 89 cents, and of course, it's gone up tremendously. In fact, it was over 44,000 yesterday when I did the video. It's a buying opportunity whenever it takes these little bit of drops, and you can see every time it kind of bounces to the bottom, it comes right back. It comes right back. We pushed through 40,000 really quickly, from 40 to 43, 44 fast within a few days. I think if we're going to push through 45 here very soon, and I think we're probably heading to 50 before the end of the month. So my guess is 50 by the end of the month, very easily, and could be higher. And probably by the time the ETFs come about early January, we could be in the $65,000 to $70,000 range, which is, if you look at the max on Bitcoin, that is all-time highs. So we could be all-time highs within the next 3 to 4 weeks. But what I want to talk about today is I want to talk about Satoshi. So everybody, not very many people understand Bitcoin, but even few people understand Satoshi Nakamoto. Satoshi is the pseudonym for the name of the person that invented Bitcoin. And we don't know who that person is. We don't even know anything about where that person came from. We don't even know that person's origin. It's a Japanese name, but we don't know if the person was Japanese. But there's something, and I have thought about this a lot. In fact, I've even made videos about the fact that perhaps Bitcoin could possibly be something somebody created as kind of a Trojan horse. In fact, I made a video about it. Maybe Bitcoin was created by a government or a company or a corporation, and it was really kind of something, to introduce cryptocurrencies to the overall population, because that's the direction everything was going, digital. So I've thought about this a lot, and I played around with it in my mind. And I've made videos about it. I've even thought maybe Ben Bernanke was Satoshi, simply because he has a cryptographic background, and that's the backbone of digital currencies, is the cryptography. The cryptography, can never say that. The cryptography. What it is it's the ability for them to have the you have, when you have digital products, you have to have something. If it's digital, it can be reproduced easily. But the reason Bitcoin works and the reason it's so valuable is because it's done on cryptography. There, I guess I said the word. And what cryptography does is it's able to make things so that they're trying to think of the word I'm trying to think of. It makes things so it's encoded. So it's you can't break the code, especially with the hash computing power behind it. So, and of course, Bernanke was a cryptographer, so that's why I kind of linked him to it, which was kind of unique. And of course, all the information about him being a cryptographer, it used to be on the internet. Now it's all vanished for some reason, whatever. So, but that makes the digital Bitcoin unique, because of the cryptography, which makes it so it's encrypted, so people can't, makes it so it's you can't hack it, is what I'm trying to say. So I've thought about this a lot, and I've come to the conclusion myself, in my own mind, my own brain, that I think Satoshi acted alone. He's a lone person that did this, and I don't believe he's alive any longer. I don't know if he died of natural causes or what happened, but he doesn't exist any longer. I think the reason why he did this anonymously and the way he did it is because it probably would have been a crime to create Bitcoin, because it was like counterfeiting money, and there could be possible consequences. Now, he did act a little bit with a guy by the name of Hal Finney. Let me pull up Hal Finney. But Hal Finney's passed away too. So, and our thought for a while, if you really want to dig into it, this would be my next best guess for Satoshi, would be this guy right here, Hal Finney, because he was someone that interacted with Satoshi. He's a computer scientist who was very knowledgeable, very valuable, And he did have some interactions, and I think he mined the first Bitcoin. But anyway, it's a very interesting story if you want to check into it. But anyway, the reason I want to go back to the fact that I think Satoshi was a lone person developing this without government, without corporations, without agendas, without politics, without any of this, was a lone, kind of a lone wolf doing this on his own, is because of this one thing. Because I've thought about this carefully. If you go back to the Genesis block, this is the Genesis block, very first block, Genesis block being the first. Genesis, first book of the Bible, Genesis, the first block of Bitcoin. And this is a Reddit article, but it was 13 years ago. So this is 2 more years. So it's actually 15 years ago. Okay, this is the first block. This is the first block ever launched by Bitcoin. And of course, it was launched by Satoshi. And it has a 50 tokens or 50 Bitcoin are as a reward, but you can't spend it because it's locked. In fact, people donate to this as kind of a tribute to Satoshi. But with inside this Genesis block is a very interesting thing. Right here, it's circled in this particular Reddit. It says the E times 03, January 9th. This is the first block that was mined. 01, 03, 09. And it makes reference to this Times, London Times article. And on the brink a second. This is embedded within the very first block of Bitcoin is embedded this little text about an article that's in the London Times. Now, if you go read the London Times, that particular article that was there, this is what the article says. Chancellor on brink of second bailout for banks. Billions may be needed as lending squeeze tightens. Okay, and here's my logic. My logic is that this wasn't done by anybody that was trying to create some sort of Trojan horse or somebody that was trying to do this by, some sort of proxy, some sort of government agency or corporation or something like that was trying to do this by just simply fooling people and coming up with this Satoshi Nakamoto name and coming up with this Bitcoin and really making it look like it was a lone person, but it was actually a group of people or governments or institutions or corporations or something like that. This is a little touch that makes me think it was only one person that did this. This little touch that they embedded in the first block, the very first block embedded, was this little article that referred to this banking system, or referred to the banking system, the bailout of the banking system. We'll talk about him in a second. So where's the article at? Right there. This would have been done by a sole person. This would not have been done by a government. This would not have been done by, KGB, CIA, somebody like that. They wouldn't have done something like this. This is a touch that somebody that's very frustrated with the system, that wanted to have an idea, that wanted to put it out there, but was very angry and had thought about this, was emotionally attached to it, and just wanted to put one little thing out there to let them know, this is why I did this. And like I say, this is a little touch that just would have had to be done by one sole actor that really just wanted to just let everybody know, the world know, this is why I made Bitcoin, because of this. Billions needed as lending squeeze tightens. So this is organic. And this is probably one person, probably somebody we will never know who it is or was, unless some information pops apart. Could possibly possibly be alive, but I doubt they're alive, especially given the fact there's over 1 million Bitcoin locked up in Satoshi's account. I don't think anybody would have held on to that money this long. Although we're starting to see original Satoshi accounts starting to move, not Satoshi accounts, but original miners that are starting to move some Bitcoin around. I think they're taking it, putting it on, people are possibly saying maybe it's because they're wanting to sell it. I don't think so. I think they're just wanting to get it on exchanges because they're starting to know that with the regulators coming in, that some of these wallets or some of the people holding their own Bitcoin, they may be a little bit subject to some more scrutiny. And I don't think they want that. So they're moving their Bitcoin to exchanges, not to sell it. Because why would you sell Bitcoin, especially if you're one of the original miners? I mean, you wouldn't sell Bitcoin now. I mean, it's probably more likely that they're just trying to keep it safe on a platform. And of course, I would always recommend my choice, Coinbase. I would not, and I'm going to stress this very, how could I say this? I'm going to say this in a way that maybe I know something more than most people do. I would not be using Robinhood anymore. Do not use Robinhood. And I'll go into that later, but I would not be using Robinhood right now. I would only use Coinbase. I think Coinbase is a trusted custodial for your Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency. I'd be careful all the other apps and all the other places. I would only stick to, that's not any kind of advice. That's just my opinion. Based on my own research, I would encourage you to do your own research. I'm not giving anybody financial advice here. Of course, everybody gives that disclaimer. I get tired of hearing it. It's old to say. The two things I get tired of hearing is I'm not giving you financial advice. And the other thing I get tired of hearing is people say like and subscribe. It's just annoying. It just annoys me. So enough said. I'm just saying that's my choice. Your choice is your choice. You like Robinhood, go for it all day long. If you like somebody else, go for it all day long. But you see what happened with places like FTX and Voyager. I had a Voyager account with just a little bit of crypto on it, and I lost it. And then I've had some coins on Binance I can't even get off anymore. They're done. I mean, it's not very much. We're talking about a very small amount of money, but I can't do it because my IP address is in the United States. I could do it a VPN, but I'm not going to go set up a VPN and then go through all their restrictions and all their rigmarole for the little bit of I just tried to test Binance a little bit and I didn't like it. So that's my opinion as far as custodials are concerned. I would stick with Coinbase. So I believe Satoshi was a lone person that created this, and he created this and gave it to the world, and the world is benefiting right now. And so before I go any further, I want to talk about something else. Of course, we got the ETFs coming up very soon. In fact, they believe the ETF window when it's going to be approved, and everybody thinks it's going to be BlackRock, which probably will, because BlackRock's got almost 100% ETF. Almost 100% of ETFs at BlackRock gets approved by the Securities and Exchange Commission. But it's interesting. The initial Genesis block of Bitcoin was launched on January 3rd, 2009. The ETFs are scheduled from January 5th to January 10th, 2024. So isn't it funny that the ETFs are almost within a day or two when they're going to be approved of when the first Genesis block was launched? Very, very, very interesting that they're coinciding that closely together. January 3rd versus January 5th. And of course, we just think, I don't know if January 3rd is still a holiday day for the Securities and Exchange Commission, but of course, January 1st being the new year, January 3rd being the birth date of Satoshi's first block of Bitcoin, and then January 5th being the approval date for the ETF. So yeah, that all is coming together very, very nicely. The other thing I want to talk about real quickly is I want to talk about this guy. So he's been lashing out against Bitcoin. In fact, if you go to stuff about Bitcoin today, it's all about Jamie Dimon. Jamie Dimon's a banker. He's the CEO of JP Morgan, which is the genesis of all this stuff to begin with, is the fiat bankers. The fiat bankers, the reason why we have Bitcoin is because gold violates one of the principles of money. And one of the principles of money is portability. So when you go around to buy stuff, you can't carry your gold with you. You probably store your gold. And when you store your gold with people that are goldsmiths or people like that, they have a gold in a vault, and then they give you a receipt for your gold. And you take that receipt and you go around and you transact with that receipt. Well, that receipt turned into fiat currencies. Fiat currencies is why our government has printed trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars, and we have no idea why. And not only our government, governments around the world. So the lack of portability by gold is the reason why we have fiat currencies. A guy like Jamie Dimon is all about printing money in fiat currencies. He's a banker. So every time this guy talks, it helps the price of Bitcoin. Because we know, because we're in an information age and a younger generation is on the internet and they understand a lot of these issues better than this guy does. He still thinks we're living in the days of pre-internet and, you know, pre-social media, where he can just blather about the fact that Bitcoin is all illicit trades and drug money. Let's see what he says here. I mean, the younger generation is smarter than that, and he doesn't know that yet. Jamie Dimon lashed out at Bitcoin and its peers, suggesting in remarks Wednesday on Capitol Hill that crypto should be banned. Okay, he's wanting to ban something that's bigger than Berkshire Hathaway, and I think bigger than JP Morgan, the company that he represents. It's bigger than JP Morgan, but he's calling it all illicit activity. I've always been deeply concerned about Bitcoin. Okay, let me see. Let's see. He talks about it as being only a drug money thing. Let me see if I can find that one. Right here. Okay. Just looking for it real quick. Okay, right here. I've always been deeply opposed to crypto, Bitcoin, etc., says Dimon. The true use case for its criminals, okay, the true use case for it is criminals, drug trafficking, drug traffickers, and anti-money laundering, tax avoidance, and that use case. So that's what he's saying. He goes, "We're don't do Bitcoin because Bitcoin is for drug dealers and terrorists and, you know, people that are money launderers." Well, Jamie, the younger generation is a little smarter than that. They get on the internet and they do a little research, and they know who you are. They know you're a banker. They know that their lives have been really ruined by guys like you, because they have no jobs. They have massive student loan debt. They have they've seen their parents go through financial crisis like the 2008 financial crisis, where the banks were too big to fail, of which Satoshi put into the first Genesis block billions, billions, and billions. When Satoshi created this first block right here, and he put in this New York Times article about the financial bailouts, he was referring to a guy like this guy. So Satoshi basically linked the Genesis block to people like Jamie Dimon as bankers. Right there. And like I say, if you go back to Jamie Dimon, works for JP Morgan. JP Morgan, they were in the beginnings of the Federal Reserve of which prints money continuously and endlessly to do everything in the world that a lot of people don't want them to do, you know, proxy wars, stuff like that. So Satoshi put that little finesse, that little touch into the Genesis block about a person like this guy right here. So every time he talks, he just drives the price of Bitcoin higher. Let's see what JP Morgan, JP Morgan is, you know, got a measly return here today. But what is the market cap on JP Morgan? Let's take a look. I don't really go to look at JP Morgan's stock very much, so I'm not really sure what the market cap on JP Morgan. Let me see. Okay, let's see what the market cap on JP Morgan is. Oh, it's a fraction of what Bitcoin is. It's 453 billion. So, and Bitcoin's market cap right now is 848 billion. So Jamie Dimon, the company he represents, it's a fraction of what Bitcoin is, less than half. What was the market cap again? Yeah, 453 billion. About half of what Bitcoin's market cap is. So this guy's talking about stuff that is just completely ridiculous, calling Bitcoin a scam. So let me see if I got any comments or anybody that wants me to address anything. Not as of yet. So right now I've been up for 20 minutes. So I think I'll cut it short today because I got some other stuff going on. And if I don't have anybody that wants to ask a question, I will sign off. I appreciate you listening. Thank you very much.